You ever notice how you can be doing great? Your jeans fit better, you skip dessert without a fight, and your brain finally goes quiet and gets rid of that food noise? But then one little doubt creeps in, and suddenly you're back in the pantry staring down the chips and asking yourself, why am I like this? Yeah, I get it. That was me last weekend, and it showed me something big about why we keep starting over. If you're new here, my name is Nicole, and I am on a journey to lose 100 pounds. If you are not new here, welcome back. I'm so glad that you came back, and I'm so glad that you are on this journey with me as well. If you would love to keep following along, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and come see everything that I'm sharing about this journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's definitely been some ugly already. So I started the last episode by saying that I'm not fat because of food. I'm fat because I was not living a life that was honest or a life that I felt God had me in. I was not walking out his path for me and feeling in alignment with what that path was. I was shrinking back. I was people pleasing. I was trying to be the good Christian girl, living in all these rules and lies that I've kind of drug with me for my entire adult life. I was supposed to be quiet and I wasn't. I was supposed to be nice and to let everybody else kind of have their opinions and not go against the grain and not cause waves and not stand up for myself. All of those kind of things, not being too loud, don't be too opinionated. And I was just believing that my worth was in how my body looked, in being thin enough, or also in making money. These two things go hand in hand, and it's a big part of my story. But just feeling like my worth and value came from number one, how I looked, and number two, how much money I was making. And so these are things that I have been struggling with and working through as I'm embarking on this health journey. Um, and it's just showing me how truly intertwined our minds are with our bodies and our bodies with our minds, and how we can't separate one out from the other. But the second that I realized that those are the reasons that I was eating, emotionally eating, numbing out with food, all of those things, as soon as I realized that, I dropped 13 pounds that month. The first month of this, um, I realized that I was carrying a lot of stress from the people pleasing and the lies I was believing and all of these different things. And I lost 13 pounds, which is something that I have not done in my entire adult life outside of trauma. So it was definitely something that I was holding on to, that my body responded to by calling out that stress and deciding that I wasn't going to live in that place anymore and starting to take steps to correct that. My body felt safe enough to release some weight. And it wasn't because of a meal plan. It wasn't because I all of a sudden had willpower or more discipline. Nothing else stopped or nothing else changed, but that realization that I was living my life trying to fit in with everybody else. And so when my stress dropped and I stopped fighting who God was making me, or who God was calling me to be, and the things that he was calling me to do, then I started losing weight. But then after I posted that last episode, I immediately got back into my head and I started doubting everything. I was hearing questions like, who do you think you are? What if you can't maintain this? You've never maintained it before. What if you give into your feelings or the cravings come back and you start giving into cravings like you always do? Like you keep starting over on Monday and going back into those patterns. I had offered a group for some free trainings or some trainings and things to do that. And then it came into my mind again, like, who are you to build this business? Like, you're still on this journey. What if you can't build a business? What if you're wrong? All of these things started bombarding me when I posted that last thing. And you can say it's spiritual warfare. You can say it's, you know, the devil trying to keep me from what God's calling me to. And all of those things are probably true. But nonetheless, after I posted the last video, these are the thoughts that I started having. And as soon as I started having all of those thoughts again and questioning what I was doing, what I was offering, the advice I was sharing, all of the food noise came back, all of the cravings, that kind of depressive, sad, heavy feeling that I had finally gotten rid of. um, I tend to kind of get into that the world is falling kind of, or not the world. What is that saying? The sky is falling. I tend to get into that mentality when I start looking outside of myself for what I'm supposed to be doing in my life and trying to follow everybody else's rules. Um, I find that all of these things become very loud. The food noise, the cravings, the wanting to not be around people, kind of hiding out, not having anything to say to anybody. Like all of those things started coming back immediately, like as soon as I started having these thoughts again. And I literally sat in my chair all day yesterday and I was just exhausted. I kind of felt nauseous. Like I couldn't put my finger on what was going on, like to the point that my husband even asked me if I was sick. And I was like, I don't really feel sick. Something just feels off. And then it kind of clicked for me. I had an aha moment. I believe God was just continuing to be patient and kind with me and bringing it back to what he's been calling me to the whole time. Um, and so basically the problem was I was still trying to force myself into doing things that God wasn't asking me to do. I was still trying to be good student, Nicole, and trying to piecemeal together all the things that different people have told me when it comes to building a business. And so this was heavy for me. And going back to the feeling like, I need to be thin, but I need to make money. And knowing that God is calling me into the health and wellness space, me being thin is how I would make money. Like that's how it was going in my brain. And the pressure of trying to keep that up and trying to, show up as the person that figured it out and all of these things when in actuality, I'm still walking this out. I'm still learning to trust my intuition and trust that that is the Lord telling me what he wants me to do. And letting those thoughts run uncontrolled in my mind brought me right back to the very thing that I'm trying to not go back to, which was wanting, like, craving the junky foods and um, just feeling down and out, like all the way around down and out. And so here's what it looked like in real life as I was living this out is I realized that I was still chasing quick money. I was still trying to figure out how to do what my business coaches had taught me, funnels, complicated sales pages, fake urgency, free trainings that secretly led to a pitch at the end. And the thing is that I know that not only my coaches, but thousands of people make money that way. But every time that I decide I'm going to build that stuff, I would just get an uneasy feeling in my stomach. Like as a consumer, I hate sales pages. I hate them. I feel like the minute you land on them, you're getting sold to. Um, Maybe that's just what it is right now. It's worked for so many people. That's the thing that you do is build sales pages. I literally hate them. I hate complicated funnels. I hate making people jump through hoops just to make a buck. Like I hate it. But I just kept telling myself, like, just be a good student. You paid for this. You paid to learn this. Just take the things that feel okay, put them together, make your own thing. And the more that I was telling myself that, and the more I was trying to convince myself that that's what I was supposed to be doing, all of these cravings just kept coming back. Like I wanted a cupcake so bad, or the thought to just go out for pizza. That would come into my mind. I just wanted anything to take my mind off the turmoil that I was feeling or the pressure that I was feeling to make money. And so the one thing that kind of helped pull me back in with that is my husband is currently doing carnivore. And so I'm not going to um, sabotage him. And so that did help because it made me still focus on real foods at home. But it was a struggle because the cravings were there and the desires were there and the wanting to numb out with food was there. And so it wasn't as easy as it's been because all of that stuff had come back because I was trying to force myself to do things that God was not calling me to do. And the funny thing is, like, the second I said, I'm not going to do this anymore, like, I'm going to offer what I feel like the Lord is calling me to offer, and I'm going to do business the way that He's showing me to do business. Instantly, all of that went away. Instantly, I felt better. I didn't feel like the semi depressed. I didn't feel like I was chasing something. I didn't feel like the sky was falling. The cravings quieted. All of a sudden, I just wanted real food again. I didn't care about eating all the other junk and all of that stuff that I haven't been eating. It was crazy how when you get these moments and the Lord opens your eyes to something, how fast the desire for food goes away. And it's not the desire for food, it's the desire for stuff that we run to keep us numb. And so this is what God has been showing me. When I'm out of alignment with what He's calling me to, my whole life feels loud. Food gets loud, fear comes back in, comparison is there. But when I'm walking out what He told me to walk, and trusting him for the outcome and trusting that regardless of what every business coach in the world says, I don't even care how much money they make. Regardless of what every business coach says, if that's not what he's leading me to, it's not right for me. It's not what he has for me. It's not what he has for the woman that I'm praying over every day that, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, prepare her heart to come into my space and to um make her vulnerable to come in and share and be willing to change and be willing to um, take responsibility in all of these things in her own life and to walk out the path that you have for her. Give her courage, give her all of these things. But if I'm not doing that, and if I'm not showing up where he's calling me to show up because so and so says that I need to offer this or that, or, people don't want this anymore, people don't want that anymore, that sales tactic doesn't work. If I'm following all that noise, then I'm struggling in my own life. And so when I'm walking out what I feel he's calling me to do and giving me the intuition for and the gut feelings, and like, that feels really good to me. This feels really good in my body. It doesn't feel stressful. It doesn't feel hard. The Bible says that I always mess this up. Um, the verse about the yoke being light, like the burden easy and the yoke light, whatever that is. Whatever that is, I should have looked it up. Whatever that verse is, when you're walking with the Lord, it feels easy. And not that there's not ever any things you need to work through, or not that there's not ever going to be hard times. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that when you're walking on the path he has for you, it doesn't feel exhausting. It doesn't feel confusing. He is not a God of confusion. Um, it's clarity, and it is just easier to take steps forward. And so going back to the food piece of this, food just becomes food again. It becomes a way to fuel my body, a way to give myself energy, to feel good. My body feels calm. I have crazy energy. My energy has skyrocketed in the last few weeks. It has been amazing. And as I've started taking these slow steps to where he's showing me to go, I keep getting more and more clarity, which is the point. I heard a couple weeks ago somebody say, if God showed you the entire journey, you wouldn't need him. But if he only shows you one step at a time, you're going to continue coming back to him because you need that guidance and direction. And I thought that was so cool. Um, so I don't say this to say that I have it all figured out and I know everything. And this isn't still a process that I'm walking out. But I truly feel with each thing that he reveals to me, I'm not fighting him anymore. I am trusting him for the outcome. I am trusting that what he's calling me to do is what he wants me to do, and that there's going to be glory for him in that he's doing it for my good and for his glory. And so as I'm walking this out this morning, it finally clicked to me that I am supposed to build community. That is one thing that all of the women that came in for a training that I had done, almost every one of them that came into my group said that they wanted community. And this community is going to be free. It's for women that don't feel like they fit anywhere. This is for the small town mama who wants to lose weight and grow in her faith and stop people pleasing and actually live bold. Her circle keeps telling her to just eat the cookie. It's not that big a deal. To be happy with what she has, or don't be so intense. Are you on another diet? Are you really not eating that? Like all these questions that people from the outside ask us when we try to make a life change. I know that loneliness. I have lived that loneliness. Um, I have always felt like I was the outsider, that I didn't fit in, that I wasn't part of the group. I felt that for my entire life. So I completely understand that if you feel like I'm talking right to you. Years ago, when I had a blog, the best part was the comments, the friendships that were formed. I loved that part of blogging. I loved the back and forth in the comments and the encouragement and the prayers and the reaching out, just the community that was formed was so amazing. One of my closest friends today came from an online group, and we've never even met in person, but she literally knows more about me than probably anybody else in my life. And yet we've never met in person, but God still connected us through an online community. And so that's what I'm doing. I started a free community. Um, and I just want this to be a real place, a place where you can show up as yourself and feel like you belong and feel encouraged and inspired and supported in the goals that you have and challenged to live out the life that you feel God's calling you to, but nobody else in your real life understands. I feel like that's so lacking. Like we're so closed off in today's world, and it's so hard, if you're busy doing other things or whatever, to get out and make new friends. And I think people tend to be kind of shallow, and it's really hard to put in the time to actually develop those deep friendships that we're so much lacking today. And so I just want this place to be a real welcoming, encouraging place, a place that you can ask questions, a place that you don't feel crazy because you want more, because you want to get your health back, because you don't want your way of eating or your lifestyle to look like everybody else's or to be the standard American diet or um, whatever that is for you. Maybe you feel the Lord calling you to um, start a business. Maybe you feel Him calling you to quit your job or to go to a job or adoption or whatever it is that the Lord's calling you to, that you just don't feel like you have the support from the people around you. I just want you to know that you belong here and you fit in, and whatever the Lord is calling you to do, I just want to support you in that regardless of what everybody else thinks, that's what you need to do. And that's probably a big part of why food has such a hold on you, if that's what you feel like. Um, and maybe it's shopping or maybe it's something else that you're doing to numb those feelings or to um, give yourself some pleasure or some happiness or some joy or whatever it is, because you know that you're living a life that is not necessarily the life you're supposed to be living. And the thing is, like, I don't want to be sneaky with this. I don't want to pretend that none of this is paid, because there's also paid levels. Some of you do want that deeper help. Some of you do want that more hand holding or, um, somewhere to talk out things that that you can't necessarily see some things because you're too close to it. Some people do want that. And so I am offering that too. There's going to be a tier that has monthly live trainings that include live Q&As. There's going to be a tier that offers small group coaching and one-on-one Voxer support. I'm not hiding that. I'm not pretending that there's not paid options. But the thing is, the free space, the free community, I want that to matter just as much. And I want you to get just as much out of that. I want you to have the opportunity to form those friendships, the like-minded women that understand how hard it is to make a life change and to go against society and go against the grain and question things. And I just want that to be normal in there. I just feel like nobody should have to do this alone. And we're not in middle school anymore. You shouldn't have to feel like the odd kid out or sitting at the lunch table by yourself, because when I make posts about that on social media, so many women comment and say that that's how they feel. And that breaks my heart, because as a community of Christians, nobody should feel left out or like they don't belong. And so I just want to create a free group for anybody that wants to be in it, to have a place to belong and to have a place that they can share what they're feeling and get help and get encouragement. Um, Especially, like I said, for the woman who feels like she's the only one around her that's trying to change, the only one that's struggling. She feels like she's the only one that feels like an outcast or that she never fits in. That's who this free group is for. So if your cravings keep coming back, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. There's actually 3 questions. Where am I not telling the truth about my life? Where am I saying yes where God said no? And where am I trying to be liked instead of being obedient? Because sometimes it's not about the carbs. Sometimes it's just about courage and surrender and obedience. If you're tired of doing this alone, come sit on my version of a front porch with me. The free group link is going to be in the description down below. And this is just women trying to follow God, get healthy, and live honest lives. So if you want more help later, obviously I said there's going to be some paid options in there and, they include the live trainings and the small group coaching and that kind of thing. But start in this free community because sometimes the first thing you need is to know that you're not crazy and that you're not alone and that you do fit in and you do belong here. So again, go take a look at your own life. Don't worry about the macros and the calories, but actually look at your life and what God is calling you to do. Shut out the noise, silence out everybody else. What's he calling you to do? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. I'll see you guys soon.